Good day, this is term 2. We are looking at unit number 2 of matter and materials. Term 2 has got 4 units, and we are busy with unit number 2, which looks at separation of mixtures. This is something that you have done in the previous grade, so it will be kind of a revision. Okay, so let's go for it. We are looking at separation of mixtures. Okay, so this is broken down into 3 subdivisions, and subdivision number 2 has got 7 subdivisions. Okay, but we are going to look at all these methods. Okay, so what is a mixture? A mixture is any 2 or more substances mixed together. It can be in any state. It can be in liquid, solid, or gas. It can therefore, by solids, liquid, or gases. It can also be a combination of states. The substances do not react with each other chemically. We need to note that mixtures, the substances that form mixtures, they don't react with each other chemically. The substances can be mixed in any ratio. Okay, I can have 4 pieces of banana and 1 piece of apple, or I can have 4 pieces of apple and 6 pieces of bananas. It can be in any ratio. Examples of mixtures are air, which is a mixture of oxygen and nitrogen and carbon dioxide and other gases. And orange juice is also a mixture of water, sugar, cellulose, and other substances. Mud is a mixture of sand and water. Different sweets, if we mix them together, it's a mixture. Okay, you know these types of sweets. You've seen them before. This is the definition that you need to know for tests and exercises. Mixtures: when 2 or more substances with different physical properties are mixed together in any ratio without reacting chemically, a mixture is formed. Methods of physical separation. How do we separate a mixture? The physical properties of mixed substances differ. We can use these physical properties to separate them from each other. The specific physical properties will determine which separation method will be used. Physical separation methods include the following. Number 1 is hand sorting. Hand sorting can be used when the different particles are big enough to be handled easily. So if you've got big particles, the particles can be picked up one by one and separated from each other. Example is separation of thorns from the sheep wool. Okay, sorting of export apples and sorting of diamonds by hand. Okay, if the particles are big, you can use hand sorting. The second method of physical separation is sifting. Sifting can be used when particles of one substance are much bigger than the other. Okay, so if we've got a mixture that has got different sizes of particles, a sieve with holes of a specific size is used. The mixture is put into the sieve and it is then vibrated or shaken to allow the particles that are small enough to fall through. Okay, using a sieve to separate pebbles and sand, vegetables and fruit are separated into sizes small, medium, and large with the aid of a sieve. Small change money can be sorted using a sieve with different size holes. Okay. I didn't know that you can separate coins by a sieve. And filtration. So sieve, they say that if you've got different sizes in particles, you can use a sieve. And then if you've got big particles, you can use hand sorting. The third method is filtration. Filtration as a separation method is used when one substance is a liquid and the other is solid. The liquid mixture is poured into the filter to allow the liquid to run through while the solid stays behind because of the holes in the filter are too small for it to pass through. Examples: separation of sand and water. A swimming pool filter separates leaves from water. A petrol filter in the engine of a car separates dust particles from the petrol. A coffee percolator separates the coffee and the coffee grounds. Okay, if we have mixture of a liquid and solid, we use filtration. So you need to know when do we use a type of separation. And the fourth physical separation is the magnet. To be able to use this method of separation, it is necessary that one substance is magnetic and the other is not. A magnet is used to attract the magnetic substances and remove it from other substances. Examples: separation of iron fillings from sand. You can try this and it works. The removal of staples from the recycled paper. Separation of magnetic metals from non-magnetic metals. One substance has to be magnetic. And then we have the fifth separation method, which is evaporation. Evaporation is used to separate a substance that is dissolved in another. The liquid will evaporate because the bonds between the particles of a liquid are weaker than the bonds between the particle of the solid. After evaporation, the solid will remain behind as crystals. Example: recovery of salt from seawater, production of sugar from sugarcane juice. You need to know the examples. And number 6 is distillation, method number 6. Let's see, where do we use distillation? Distillation is used to separate two liquids with different boiling points. There are two processes that are part of distillation process, namely boiling and condensation. Boiling and condensation. Distillation differs from evaporation in that the evaporated liquid is collected. In the first unit, we learned that every liquid has its own unique melting and boiling point. We can use the different boiling points of liquids to separate mixtures of liquids. The same is true for gas. The substance with lowest boiling point will evaporate first and can therefore be separated from the mixture first. This process is called fractional distillation. What is fractional distillation? Fractional distillation is a process whereby a mixture of liquid with different boiling points are separated from each other. Please know this definition. And the examples are recovering pure water from seawater, separation of alcohol and water, separation of liquid air into different gases it consists of, namely nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and small amount of other gases. Crude oil can be separated into different substances. What is the distillate? The distillate is the liquid that is removed, that is distilled off. The apparatus used in the laboratory for the process of distillation is called Liebig condenser. Liebig condenser. Please know that the apparatus used in the laboratory for the process of distillation is the Liebig condenser. If it is available, it can be used to separate a salt water solution. Taste the distillate to test if any of the salt evaporated. So the apparatus is Liebig condenser. Okay, the distillate, you must know what it is, and the fractional distillation, what it is, and the examples. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our lesson, because we said we're going to cover up to, or we are left with 2.27 chromatography. Let's look at that. It should be there at the top of page 5. Yes. The last method of separation is chromatography, where two or more soluble solids can be separated with the use of absorbent medium. This process is called chromatography. The absorbent medium can be a filter paper. Let us study the simplest form of a chromatography, which is a paper chromatography. Okay. We're not gonna do this now, but what I want you to do is to go to page number, is it page number 9? Yes, I want you to go to page number 9, exercise 15. Page number 9, exercise 15, and you start with that activity from number 1 all the way up to number 7 point, let's see, 7.6, number 1 up to 7.6. Before you start with the activity, let's look at number 2.3, sorting and recycling. We are damaging our planet with all our rubbish. By the waste that we generate, the contamination of our natural water resources, the use of fossil fuels to manufacture the many plastic bags, bottles, food labels, and other synthetic items. Through all this, we are increasing our carbon footprint. We have dealt with wasting in previous grade, I think in EMS and also in technology and in natural science. Okay, so let's look at sorting and recycling. Okay, please use your textbook to refer on this, because my print out was not so good. We are on page 181 on your textbook. They say here, as the human population increases, the need for more plastic containers and other plastic-based material also increases. The biggest point of concern is that the sources of fossil fuels are limited. What will happen once the sources are depleted? Okay, to continue with our use of plastics, we need to start recycling. What is recycling? Recycling is a process whereby waste materials are turned into new products. This reduces the consumption of new material. Please, you need to know what is recycling. It is the responsibility of each and every person to deal with their rubbish properly. There are only certain materials that can be recycled. For example, metals, plastic, paper, and glass. Organic compounds such as vegetable peels can be used as compost. Most materials that cannot be recycled or reused must be thrown away. More than 3/4 of the litter that is discarded can be reused. So 75% of what we discard or we throw away, it can be reused or recycled. So what is sorting? Sorting is to systematically separate different substances into groups. For example, paper on the side, plastic on the side, soft drinks, drink cans on the side. By recycling paper, we can drastically reduce the amount of trees that are being cut down every year. Okay, look at the landfills and dumping sites. There are negative effects of poor refuse management. The contamination of water, soil, and the environment. These are the negative effects of poor refuse management. You need to know them. Number one, it's the contamination of water, soil, and the environment. Number two is the health risk and diseases. Number three is the blocking of the sewage, draining systems, and water pipes. Number four is the waste of fertile land for the use of dumping site. Number five is the waste of valuable materials that can be recycled. Okay, so you need to know this negative effects of poor refuse management, and this brings us to the end of our lesson today. So you can go back to page 179, exercise number 15, and you can start with that exercise from number 1 up to number 7.6. Please write on the worksheet that will be given to you. Thank you.